This video will briefly describe some of the functionality of the LabQuest2 and some possible applications of the instrument for aiding in classroom scientific exploration. The LabQuest2 is a fully functional data acquisition and analysis instrument. It's equipped with a touchscreen that is best used with the attached stylus, which can be found on the back side of the LabQuest2. There are also two inputs for digital probes from the Vernier family of products, which are on top and covered by this rubber plastic cover. You can see there's 1 and 2. Things like motion detectors and other Vernier probes and sensors can go in there. Next to the digital inputs, up here on the top, you can see there's 3 different little logos, one for a speaker, one for a microphone, and one for memory cards. If you lift up on that flap, you can see that those inputs are exposed. This is a micro SD card slot, which can be used for storing data and also putting data onto the LabQuest2 if you want to have your entire classroom looking at the same data set for analysis. On the side, there is a mini USB slot for data transfer. There's also a port for docking to the Vernier family of docks for power charging and data transfer. And there's also the AC power supply, which you can see I've got currently plugged in right now. Opposite of that, there are 3 analog inputs. Those are for Vernier analog probes, such as a magnetic field sensor. And then there's also a USB slot, which is for connecting USB flash drives or data transfer, or can even be used for USB sensors. On the LabQuest2, there are 3 buttons down here on the bottom. This first one is a backwards arrow, which will take you between menus to go back from menus. The middle one is a home button, which will take you to the home screen. And this last one is a play button, which will begin data acquisition. The LabQuest2 also has an accelerometer, so if you twist it, it'll reorient itself. And you can twist it all the way around, and it will continue to reorient itself, depending on how you're holding it. The LabQuest2 has a large collection of built-in features as well. There's a periodic table, which can be accessed from the home menu. To get to it, we'll first push the button that says home. Alternatively, you could also push the home button at the bottom. You can see there's some instrumentation display on the bottom, but I'll get to that later. There's a periodic table, as I was alluding to. If you click on it, it'll open up with the periodic table of the elements, and there's information on all the elements, including things like when it was discovered and by whom. You can find all the information you might need about any element, its symbol, weight, atomic number, density, etc. There's also, in that home menu, an audio function generator, which if we click on it, you can see has 2 different function generators, a right and a left. You can set them to be locked. That's what this indicator on the side is. Right now they're unlocked, so they can be independent frequencies, or you can have them locked. Without anything plugged in, you can hear it from the built-in speakers. Alternatively, you can use that speaker jack that was on top of the LabQuest2 to actually hear it on a particular speaker, which might be useful in the magnets and motors section when the students are designing their own speakers. So pushing the back button will take us to the original screen that has data acquisition. If we push home again, we're back at the home menu. There's a power amplifier, which requires an external power amplifier device as well, and that will just create an amplified electrical signal. There's also connections down here on the left. The LabQuest2 is really neat in that it has a lot of connectivity. Each LabQuest2 is equipped with Wi-Fi, so they can communicate over a wireless network. This can be kind of tricky, though, for the 4J schools if you need a password to get onto the actual network itself. But if you can get onto the network and access the internet, there's a really powerful tool. You can use the LabQuest2 and display information up on a main computer, perhaps a teacher's computer, using the LabQuest Viewer software. You can also control the LabQuest2 from computers remotely and other devices. So there's a lot of functionality there, which could be useful in a large group setting. There's also accessories, which has these 3 little features: calculator, stopwatch, and sound recorder, which do exactly what you would think. the calculator is a scientific calculator. There's also these arrow on the top where you can select between different screens. So I'm going to click desktop, that'll take me back to the previous screen. There's stopwatch, which if you push play will begin to record the time. You can stop it. And the last button over here is to copy that information. You can also go back to 0 if you want by pushing the middle one. And then there's a sound recorder. The sound recorder, you can utilize the input jack on the top for a microphone, or you can use the built-in microphone, which is up here in the right corner. Pushing record will record for however long you want. Pushing stop will stop that, and you can save it. You can open up different files, you can create new ones. That's what these are. This first indicator is to create a new one. The second one is to open up files. You can also, I just saved something, so I'm going to discard that and say yes. There's no files on here right now, but if there were, you could open a file and listen to it. You can save after you record something, or you can just delete it. And that's deleting a file as well. So, going back to this menu, if you want to go back to the home menu, you can either push this button, or you can push the home on the top left. There's also preferences where you can change how bright the screen is. You can also, in the preferences, you can change the orientation and make it so that it's locked in one position, and then it won't rotate around as you rotate the LabQuest 2 around. The screen won't change with it. You can also connect printers and audio, and there's advanced features, but we won't really need to change those, so I'll leave those alone for now. In the system, that's where you can shut down, reboot, or calibrate the screen. Calibrating the screen can be very tricky at times. Sometimes the LabQuest 2 might come to you and you turn it on and you push the stylus somewhere and it doesn't work. You'll have to recalibrate the screen, which is done like so. Just hitting the arrows around the different parts of the screen. If, however, for some reason the calibration is so far off you can't even get to the home screen, then you can just hold this home button for a few seconds, and after a couple of seconds of holding down the button, the calibration screen will automatically come up. So that way, if for whatever reason it gets calibrated way off the screen, which I've done before, then you can easily get to the calibration screen and reset it so that you can actually use your LabQuest 2 properly. So that's a brief overview of the LabQuest 2 and some of the features it provides. I'll be discussing more details about using the different sensors, also data acquisition and data analysis in other videos.